What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. I'm back, Jaleesa, with another Cocktails and Combos, and y'all, season 7, episode 13 of the Real Housewives of Potomac. I am going to jump right into it. I'm gonna start making our margaritas now, but it was a lot that happened. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the main event of this episode, of course, was their trip to Mexico. All the girls went down to Mexico to celebrate Ashley's birthday. And this was a trip that was planned and coordinated by both Ashley and Karen. Now, before we get into all the juiciness of what took place on that trip, there were a few things that stuck out to me that led up to the trip. The first thing that I enjoyed about this episode and the thing that caught my eye was Giselle. Y'all know I'm always talking about how Giselle does not really share what is going on in her storyline. She's always there to instigate things with the other ladies, but this was one episode where we got a little glimpse of her like talking about something else other than getting everybody else's drama and business. So definitely enjoyed that. And I also liked it because she was talking about her fibroids and how they have grown so much and that she's gonna have to get them surgically removed, and she's probably gonna have to have a hysterectomy. And I can relate to that. Not having a hysterectomy, but I have fibroids as well, and I love to hear other women share their stories and experience. As a young woman myself who just recently, I found out I had fibroids about a year or two ago when I was pregnant with my daughter, I'm always interested to hear other women's story, what they've done to manage their fibroids, and if and when a woman has taken that step to, have a hysterectomy, which is such a big step, how they feel about it, what their process and their journey was. So I appreciated that about, Giselle in this episode. And I really hope and pray as we continue on the rest of the season, she shares more about that journey that she's going through. Now, from Giselle, we went to Robin. And y'all, this wedding, her and Juan, oh Lord, I really hope they prove us all wrong and they do end up getting married. But I'm sorry, y'all, I am just not convinced. But in this episode, they decided to go ahead and have a conversation with the boys about their wedding, how they're gonna keep it as a small ceremony, probably have a destination wedding with just Robin, Juan, and the boys, which I think that's fair. I thought it was very interesting that they had the seamstress come to the house to go ahead and start making the suits, but they don't even know where they're getting married, y'all. That was wild to me. From my experience, when I planned my wedding, the first thing that my husband and I did was pick the date and then started contacting wedding venues. So I thought it was weird that they were getting the suits tailored and getting fitted for the suits, but they didn't even know where they were gonna get married. They were talking about some of the possible places they would get married, and the boys had suggested Jamaica and some tropical places, and Robin was like, we can go to the Chesapeake Bay. Girl. If you're gonna have a wedding up the street from your house, why don't you just go ahead and invite all your friends and family? This is an event. And if you're gonna have a wedding in Maryland or in the DMV area, just invite everyone, because there's no sense of you going to get married at the Chesapeake Bay and nobody can come. You right up the street from your house. You might as well invite everybody, but I digress. Let me go ahead and shake y'all. All right, here is our final margarita, y'all. Let's go ahead and continue this conversation. So as we're slowly inching to all the women getting down to Mexico, we've got the scene with Mia and Gordon, and Mia's basically letting Gordon know that her and Jacqueline got into a little argument over the kids. So essentially, Mia's nanny is actually Jacqueline's sister. And I guess from time to time, when Jacqueline needs help with her kids, she will, I guess, call up her sister or call up Mia to see if her sister can watch the kids. And I guess Mia is just like, I'm getting tired of it. Like, your sister is my nanny, and your sister is being paid by me on my payroll to watch my kids, and occasionally, every so often, don't have a problem with your kids coming and your sister helping, whatever, boo, 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 boo. But I guess Mia's just like, I'm kind of tired of it. Like, this is constantly happening. It's constantly a thing. And that situation is a little tedious. Like, that's Jacqueline's sister, so I can almost see where Jacqueline's like, look, my sister is your nanny. So when I'm asking for someone to help watch my kids or help me with my kids, I'm essentially asking my sister. But I get it. Like, from Mia's standpoint, like, your sister is my nanny and I'm paying her. So there is a certain level of business going on here. And I don't know, the way that Mia talks about Jacqueline at times, Jacqueline just does not seem like she has everything together. I know at the beginning of the season, Jacqueline showed up to the family day, the field day with her ex-boyfriend, her father, the father of her kids, that they were co-parenting. I think they may be divorced, separated, whatever it may be, but I don't know. Every time that Mia talks about Jacqueline, it just comes off as like Jacqueline's life is in shambles or teetering on the border of shambles. She just sounds like she's in a hard place and she is relying on Mia heavily to help her get through these hard times. And I think I may be Team Mia in this situation, with the initial disagreement as well as we get later on in the video. It's just kind of like, if I'm paying your sister for a service to watch my children, of course, I don't mind if you drop your kids off occasionally here or there, but it will wear on me after a while. And it's almost like you're abusing the situation. So as I watched this entire video, I was like, I'm kind of agreeing or seeing where Mia's patience may be wearing thin with Jacqueline. So all of the ladies are finally at the airport. They're heading down to Mexico. Karen, Ashley, and Wendy head down early. Karen and Ashley made it a point to invite Wendy early because previously in Miami, Wendy had fell out with a lot of women, and I guess it was them trying to just make her feel comfortable, make her feel welcome, and, you know, kind of help smooth things over to where she doesn't feel like she's ostracized like she was in Miami. And at the airport, that is when ish started to hit the fan. So apparently there was a continuation about the nanny situation. According to Mia, while they were at Karen's improv extravaganza, her meet and greet, whatever it may be, Mia's nanny had called Mia asking for Jacqueline to clarify something in regards to Jacqueline's kids. I believe it was along the lines of the nanny didn't know where Jacqueline's kids were, and the nanny called Mia to ask Jacqueline, you know, what was going on with her kids. And Mia was kind of sick of it. Like, you know what? These are not my children. Why is my nanny calling me about your kids? Now, that could be a little petty, but again, we don't know how often Jacqueline is having Mia's nanny look after her kids. We don't know how frequently this is. It's almost like, I think of it when I was in college and I'm like, oh, you know, I'm with my roommate, whatever, and my roommate's like, oh, can I borrow your shoes? The first time, not a problem. Like, we live together, you know, of course you can borrow my shoes. Second time, it's like, not a problem. Of course you can borrow my shoes. Like, we live together, we wear the same size, whatever. But if you're constantly wearing my shoes and wearing my stuff, and you're wearing it more than I'm wearing it, or you're starting to wear down my ish, or just you are just constantly asking me for my stuff, it gets to a point where it's like, okay, this is a problem. You're abusing my stuff. It's my stuff. I paid for it. Therefore, I want to use it. And I get where Mia's coming from. Like, your sister, while she is your sister, those are her nieces and nephews. She's my nanny. And if she's at my home on the clock where she's supposed to be watching my kids, I need her to prioritize and understand, like, I'm expecting her to watch my children. Yes, we want to make sure the well-being of your children are safe, but it's like, she needs to make sure she's focused on her job. And if she has a question about your kids, why don't she pick up the phone and call you? So that's where the disagreement on the plane started, and shots were fired. And Jacqueline states to Mia, well, you know, after Mia was like, look, these are your kids, they're not my kids, like, you need to handle this situation. Like, stop, I'm not their mother. Seems a little mean, but I get it. And Jacqueline states to Mia, well, it takes a village to raise a child, but I guess you wouldn't know anything about that. Okay. Like, that was a major shot fired, in my opinion. I thought that was so petty. So petty. Now, mind you, all of this is kind of word of mouth by all the other women because there were no cameras filming this. So this is what Mia says that Jacqueline said to her. And I thought that was petty because if that's your best friend and you know that she has a rocky history with her mother and that her mother did not raise her, she wasn't really raised by any of her biological family, and it was actually Jacqueline's family that really played an integral role in raising her. It's like, why would you say something like that? This brings me to a point that I made in one of my previous recaps about the dynamic and the relationship between Mia and Jacqueline. They are envious of something that the other one has. They feel like they are better than the other one in certain aspects. And I really feel like they keep each other around to boost their ego. I don't know if I'm making sense, y'all, but it's just something about them just makes me feel like they are not really genuine. Like, when it comes to their friendship, it just seems like they were raised together. Jacqueline's family helped out Mia and took care of her, but behind each other's backs, I feel like they dog each other and they talk about each other a lot. And I feel like this has been going on well before they got on the show. Like, I don't get the sense that the show is bringing this out of their friendship. Like, I feel like there's always been this deep-seated tension, envy, jealousy between the two of them, but it's just been kind of covered and layered over this, like, well, you know, we help each other out, we're cool, we're around each other. There's some deep-seated in the both of them that they don't like about each other, and that point was reiterated and solidified for me after watching this episode, because the comment that Jacqueline said was mean to me. It was very cutthroat and vile, especially understanding the background that Mia has come from. If you know as her best friend that she wasn't raised by her mother, she really didn't have her biological family in her life, and then you say something petty like that, that wasn't just no quick shade, you know, like the housewives are known for. That was on some, like, I've always thought that about you, but I've just never said it until now. So I don't blame Mia for a lot of the things that she said later on in the episode, because I just kind of felt like once Jacqueline said that comment, it was a wrap. And y'all know how I feel. I've said it before in a previous recap. Once you start popping off and taking jabs and saying things, you get what's coming to you. I am someone where, look, you take a shot at me, I'm gonna take several shots back at you. And it may be vile, it may be mean, you may not like it, I may cut deep, but hey, you took the first shot, so I'm just coming back and we just gonna see where they land. So the ladies get to the resort, you've got the welcoming committee, Wendy, Karen, and Ashley, welcoming them all there, and they immediately go into a separate room to have lunch. And the conversation and the argument between Jacqueline and Mia continues. Mia calls Jacqueline the devil. Yikes. And they're just, there's little nibbles, little, they, you know, they touching, like they poking each other's buttons, but it takes like a turn for the left. I will say this, another reason why I don't really feel like Jacqueline and Mia really truly deep down like each other, or there's some internal like, I don't like that girl, because how the heck does your best friend throw a brick at you and y'all still friends? Like, Mia literally said Jacqueline threw a brick at her and they still kikiing like ain't nothing wrong. Like, for someone to throw a brick at you, I don't care if y'all were teenagers, if y'all were grown women, like, you threw a brick at me and I'm really gonna think you're my best friend? Like, no. Maybe I'm making a lot of excuses for Mia because they were young. If Jacqueline's family was helping Mia out that much, I'm sure Mia's like, look, I love her family, I'ma stay cool with her, but a brick, that's enough for me to be like, no girl, you do not have good intentions for me. Jacqueline says something to Mia, and Mia is like kind of taking warning shots, like, you sure you want to go there? You sure you want to go there? And Jacqueline's still popping off, and Mia's like, look, that's why you sleep with a bunch of married men. Like, whoa, okay. Like, straight went there. And I think Jacqueline got super, the only thing that made sense on why she got so upset, and maybe I'm not the world's most sensitive person, because I just didn't understand why she was so upset. Me personally, I'm just like, look, I'm sure in the years that y'all have been friends, if you had enough energy to throw a brick at this woman, I know you got some tea on Mia that you can easily just sling at her. Why are we getting so upset that she said you sleep with married men? She didn't list the name of the married men that you slept with. You good. You can live to see and fight another day. Don't know why she got so upset, but Mia exposed the fact that Jacqueline sleeps with married men, and Jacqueline gets upset. But I think Jacqueline heard it wrong and may have heard and took it as Mia saying that she slept with Gordon, Mia's husband, which that's not what Mia said. She was like, you sleep with married men. But I don't know if just because Jacqueline's been with this group of women and these women have been trying to get the tea on whether Jacqueline, Gordon, and Mia have had a threesome together, that it just heightened things. I don't know. I honestly think that Jacqueline has a lot of things going on. I don't know personally, but she just seems like she's very fragile. She seems like she's got a lot of issues that she's trying to get through in her life. And this may not be the right environment for her. This is probably not the right environment for her. She just does not seem like she has it all together. And she seems like she's very codependent and reliant on Mia. And maybe the roles were reversed when they were younger, where Mia relied on her heavily and her family heavily. I don't know. Prior to this evening, was really enjoying the Jacqueline Mia storyline, because I guess I'm guilty. I am very curious on what is the extent of y'all friendship? Because I don't know. They slept with each other's boyfriends, past lovers, allegedly, maybe, Gordon. I don't know. I was very invested and I'm still interested in that. But after this evening, it just seems like there's just some deep-seated issues going on between that friendship, and especially with Jacqueline, that I'm like, this may be the time for her to bow out gracefully, because I don't think she gonna be able to make it. Like, there's just a lot of stuff going on. So after their lunch, they all go back to their room and freshen up before they go to dinner. And this is where our next big event for this episode begins. So the Karen and the Charisse argument. Going back to the beginning of the episode, you've got Giselle and Robin talking over the phone about, how Charisse is, revisiting the Charisse being absent from Karen's improv meet and greet. And y'all know how I feel about it. I feel like this is just milking a, dry cow, beating a dead horse, whatever you want to call it. Like, I just feel like I understand where Karen's coming from. We have not been friends for years. Why do I need to invite you to something? However, one caveat. Karen invited everyone except for Charisse to this event. Like, they showed the whole text feed, and the whole text feed was there. And in that text feed, you had like Jacqueline in there and other friends of the show that Karen had specifically invited to her improv show, and Charisse was left out. Now, do I think this is fair and valid that, hey, we have not talked or been friends for years, not really entitled to invite you? I do think that's valid from Karen's standpoint. But when you intentionally invite everybody and their grandma to your show, people that you don't even know that well, and you leave out one integral and specific friend of the group, it does look like you are bothered. It looks like you're a little bothered by her. Now, is she entitled to her feelings? Absolutely. But it looks like you're bothered, your feathers are ruffled, and the petty side of me would be like, okay, I'm gonna ruffle these things. I'm gonna go ahead and like continue to ruffle your feathers, because obviously you're bothered by me, because that's why I was left out. That's me. I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to get better. Apparently Charisse did that, because in their group text, that's where Charisse shared some footage and video of Karen out in the club with her titties out. Her titties out in the club when they were all down in Miami. And Karen being the grande dame, the classy Virginia woman that she is, of course that was not going to sit well with her. Now, apparently, leave it to Candace. Candace was like, look, Karen was not feeling that video being put out like that. But in the group text, Karen made it seem like it wasn't that big of a deal. So that was kind of what warmed us up to this battle royale at the end of the episode. So going back to the dinner, so you've got everyone coming to the dinner, food's coming out. Two very random points, but two things. One, I honestly believe Ashley is keeping the Corona business alive, because I don't know, like this chick has been drinking Corona beer since season 1 of Real Housewives of Potomac. If you all have watched any of my other videos on my channel that are not Real Housewives of Potomac related, outside of cocktails, I'm a craft beer girl. I love a good craft beer. So Corona's not my thing, but I digress. I'm sure Ashley was super ecstatic to be in Mexico so she could have her endless flowing Coronas coming at her. 2, as a cocktail person, why are we down in Mexico and everyone is bypassing a good mezcal cocktail? Oh my gosh, y'all. I love tequila. Tequila is my favorite liquor. And I love mezcal. I was just introduced to mezcal about maybe a year or 2 ago, and the flavors in a mezcal, that is not something you pass up on. And everybody was ordering other stuff. Again, to each his own, you can do what you want, but in Mexico and you don't drink the mezcal margarita? Okay. I had to get that out there, y'all. Had to get that out there. Thanks for sticking with me. Giselle got it started. They started talking about like the events and activities, and of course Karen is a co-planner of this trip, and they asked Karen, and I guess Giselle was like, look, I'm gonna put this out here on Front Street. What's going on? Again, it was kind of a blur on how this conversation started, but Charisse is basically saying like, hey, you know, there seems to be an issue, and I just kind of feel like if you don't want to be my friend, I would much rather you tell me to my face and be straight up that you don't want to be my friend, rather than kind of go around to other people and say stuff or act like you this, that, and the third. And Karen, shout out to Karen. Shout out to Karen. Shout out to the Grand Dame, because Karen, I feel like she really does try to stay above all the mess and above all the drama. I feel like in most of the seasons, like, she will go toe to toe with people, but I really do think she tries to carry herself as a classy woman, and it's not like, I'm cool with everyone. She tries to, you know, she calls out everyone in their wrongdoings, and sometimes it could come off as Karen is not like with the ish, but Karen let it be known with Charisse, like, no, I'm with all the ish. Like, do not come for me, because I'm not finna just let you like run all over me and talk about me and throw dirt on my name, and I'm just finna sit here and let you just say whatever, and I'm not gonna say nothing bad. I was pleasantly surprised how Karen was shutting Ish down. It was like Charisse was trying, I felt like to a certain extent, Charisse was trying to like really go at it, boop, boop, boop. And Karen was like, no, what we not gonna do is this, what we not gonna do is that. And again, it was, I don't know, it was really confusing at trying to keep up with what each one of them, like with the points that each one of them were saying. I will say that Karen has said like, look, we have not been friends for a while. It's been a while. Something I appreciated that Karen said was the fact that you're not gonna use me to get back in this friends group. And if y'all have watched any of my other recaps, I have been making this point. I love Charisse, and I would so enjoy her coming back on the show as a full-time housewife, because I want to know how she is doing post her divorce. But I have always said that I feel like she is trying to use this Karen beef as a way to create a lane for her to get back on the show. That is my thoughts, that is my beliefs. I feel like she's an OG housewife, so I don't really think there's much convincing that she needs to do to get back on the show. But I also do feel like Bravo and probably Andy Cohen, this is my thoughts, my opinion. I'm not a Bravo person, so I don't know. This is just how I think. But I'm pretty sure the producers of the show and Bravo are like, look, you are more than welcome to come back, but you haven't been on the show for a while. And since you have not been on the show, there have been new people who have come in the mix. There have been new conversations and topics and things that have come up that you have been removed from. I won't say far removed, but you have not been involved in that. So you can come back on the show, but you have to make it worth our while. Like, we just can't have you coming back on the show just off the strength of your Charisse, your OG. Like, you have to make it worth our while. Like, no shade, I don't mean nothing by this, but like, Charisse is not a Nene. We all know Nene's never gonna come back on the show for reasons that I'm sure we all know. But I feel like Nene's one of the few housewives where it's like she would leave for a season or two and they would bring her back, and I don't really feel like there was much like auditioning or anything that she had to do. It was just like, you are Nene Leakes, like, you are bringing in the ratings, of course we're gonna roll out the red carpet for you. Charisse is not that. She's been gone for a while, and so I do feel like there's a part of her that if she does come back on the show, she has to make people want to see her. She has to create some type of narrative, some type of oomph to, you know, make us excited for her to return back on the show as a possible full-time housewife, or just continue to be a regular friend of the show. That's what I think. Again, that's my opinion. She's really milking this Karen narrative. And I'm glad that Karen called it out and was just like, you are not going to use me to get back in this friends group, because that it is so obvious to me that is what Charisse is doing. I wouldn't say she's using Karen to get back in the friends group, because it's obvious Charisse is still very close with Giselle and Robin, but I do think that Charisse is using Karen to get back on the show, and that is her end. And I appreciated Karen calling Giselle out on that. And so they got to talking, and I feel like Karen was like, look, you haven't checked up on me in a while, so I don't know why you're acting like I'm just completely, acting brand new, when it's like, girl, we haven't talked in years, we haven't been friends. And Charisse was like, look, you haven't checked up on me either. Like, I lost a parent, I was going through a divorce. If you were truly my friend, you would have checked up on me either. And Karen was basically like, look, around the time that you lost a parent, I text you. And I guess that was not good enough for Charisse, and I get it. You lose a parent, someone who's supposed to be your friend, you want a phone call, check up on somebody. But again, the last time we saw Karen and Charisse was basically insinuating that Karen had a side chick, or not a side chick, but Karen had a side boo, and was having a whole bunch of affairs on Ray. So I think for what Charisse put out there in the streets on Karen's name, I think it's fair that Karen was like, look, I'm gonna send you a text. You ain't getting a phone call, you're getting a text. Somewhere in the mix, it was either Giselle or Charisse. One of the two had insinuated that when Karen's mother passed away, Charisse either called Karen or maybe even possibly went to the funeral proceedings of Karen's mother. And that's kind of how Karen's mom got brought into the situation. Now, when I watched this, I did not hear Charisse say anything disparaging or negative about Karen's mother. I think it was just Charisse and or Giselle bringing up the point that, like, when your mother passed away, I did put forth a little bit more of an effort to reach out to you. Or around the time your mother passed away, my father passed away. Somehow Karen's mother came up in the situation, and we all know Karen is very sensitive about her mother and her parents passing, rightfully so. And just like Jacqueline and Mia earlier, I feel like Jacqueline heard something different than what Mia said. I feel like that's what happened with Karen. Karen heard something completely different than what Charisse said, and it just went from 0 to 100 real quick. Like, they were standing up, they were like, like, it was so much that was going on. Like I said, this whole conversation went from 0 to 100 real quick. And of course, they left us with a cliffhanger, and they didn't even give us like a preview to what's gonna happen next. It was just like literally the argument happened and boom, like on to the next show. I am very curious to see how this ends. No shade, but these are older women, especially Karen, so I do not believe they gonna be throwing punches or slapping or anything like that. Like, this is not Wendy and Mia. This is Karen and Charisse. Like, none of that's gonna happen. I really do think that, like, they just getting up, pointing, getting all excited and extra and stuff like that, and eventually somebody's gonna sit their behinds down and they're gonna keep it moving. So we'll see. We will see. But y'all, that concludes my recap, thoughts, and opinions of season 7, episode 13 of the Real Housewives of Potomac. Y'all, make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it. Liking this video helps me to grow as a channel. Leave comments below your thoughts, y'all. I want to get a conversation started. I want to hear what other people are thinking, so make sure you comment below and subscribe to my channel. I've got other cocktail content that I do on my channel. If you're here for the cocktails, of course, I'm going to do the rest of the season and give my recap, so you're not going to want to miss it. And I've just got some other great things coming up and in the works on my channel, so you are going to want to subscribe. I will see you all next next week. And in the meantime, I will catch you all in the video below. See you soon.